the world wants you to develop, where they send you for what they call medical checkup. So you say, well, where? I'm going for medical checkup. Checkup of what? So for a lot of people, it's their elitist, proud, status consciousness, high class pretending. Yeah. When you didn't have money, you weren't going for checkup. So certain times of the year, you pack your whole family to go line up for checkup. Now that you have money. When you were broke, Jesus was your doctor. Now you have money, and you now have a professor doctor. I warned you about the pressure gauge. They say, I have high blood pressure. I say, well, who told you it was high? I went from, they measured it. They measured it. Who is this person that knows the blood pressure that is normal? Who knows what it's supposed to be? Who is this person that knows what it is not supposed to be? Let me tell you one of the good things of COVID. It gave us the opportunity to help people learn how to think for themselves. And that's what they don't like us about. Because we let people learn to ask questions. They don't like that. Tyrants don't like those who ask questions. They see it as disrespect. How can you ask a question? Just shut up and do what we say. That day has passed. Now the cat is out of the bag. They're going to ask questions. I told you, with all those blood pressure measurements, nobody will be well. They know what to do. It's tweaked. You can't be well. They tell you you're almost dying. In fact, they ask you, how did you come here? So do you feel normal? You say, I feel normal. They say, yes. Sometimes it's asymptomatic. That means that you don't always have to have symptoms. So don't worry. Send for your wife. So for what? They say, we can't let you leave the hospital like this. They've captured you. Hospital is a prison for a lot of people. Now you can't go home. You came by yourself for quick checkup. Now they say, do you have any member of your family around? Say, my wife is not far. Tell her to come. Doctor, is there a problem? I'm amazed you are still standing here. Then they give you all the readings, and you are so happy they told you. Thank God I came. You are even now happy. If I had not been here, maybe I would have been dead by now. Thank God they found out. What they find out? Those lying equipment. I know. I know. Sometimes they go in there and they actually find something that the devil put there in the first place. Where did the cancer come from? Where did it come from? Were you born with it? Most likely not. Most likely not. A guy had blood coming out of his tooth. So every time he spat, he had some blood in it. So went to the doctor, and they sent him to some lab. By the time he came back, they said something inside him. He has this disease, and he has that disease, and he has that disease. Nobody said it was from his tooth. They thought it was coming from inside. Got him ready for surgery. Then he got another opinion. For a young doctor who just wanted to examine him first before he would go for surgery. He spat and the guy looked at it. He said, just spit again. Looked at it. He said, how quickly did the blood come from inside? Your saliva was just from your mouth. And took him to a dentist. There was where the problem was. They fixed his tooth. There was no more blood. He spat again and again. There was no more blood. He said, I'm not going for that surgery. He didn't go and he was fine. And years have come and gone. He's still fine.
Yes, sir.
Never needed the surgery. I want to show you this documentary. And you're going to hear several medical doctors make some statements. And it's all about the blood pressure fraud. This is just part one. Watch. Hey, look at that. A patient cured is a customer lost. Ha ha ha.
It's my belief that many of the medications that doctors are giving to patients today are more harmful than helpful to those patients.
They want that pill that they hope will take care of their problem thoroughly and rapidly. And most of these medications will actually do that very well in the short term. In the short term, they really work. The problem is in the long term, they're mostly disastrous.
Many have suffered great health setbacks, following from using drugs and health devices that were invented in the medical field to cure human ailments.
Eisenhower warned the American people about the medical industrial complex. He warned that if we allow private industry to control, monopolize, and profiteer off of health and healthcare, that they will silo innovation, stifle innovation, and capitalize and monetize innovation. Time and time again, when Big Pharma has had an opportunity to choose left or right, over and over again, they have chose profits over patient outcome.
It's been decades, and we have seen and heard of evil inventions that seek to completely destroy humanity.
Don't be deceived. Don't be deceived. Now, when people grown up with all kinds of ailments, all kinds of problems.
One ailment that has invaded the world of some people is high blood pressure. In the pursuit of preventing this ailment, the world has been sold to the idea of owning a blood pressure gauge.
A blood pressure gauge, also known as a sphygmomanometer, is a device used to measure the pressure of blood in the arteries. It typically consists of an inflatable cuff that is wrapped around the arm and a measuring unit that indicates the pressure readings.
The dawn of blood pressure monitoring takes us back to the 19th and the early 20th century. The device that changed our understanding of cardiac health was the sphygmomanometer, an instrument initially created by Samuel Siegfried Karl Ritter von Bosch in 1881. But it wasn't until the work of Dr. Scipione Rivarocci in 1896 that the concept took the form we are familiar with today. Dr. Rivarocci's version introduced an inflatable cuff which could be wrapped around a patient's arm. The cuff would constrict the blood flow, and as the pressure was slowly released, the point at which blood started flowing again gave an approximation of the systolic blood pressure. Then in 1905, the process was refined by Dr. Nikolai Korotkov, a Russian physician. He discovered that by placing a stethoscope on the arm below the cuff, distinctive sounds could be heard as the pressure in the cuff was released. These Korotkov sounds represented the systolic and diastolic blood pressure values, the two numbers we associate with blood pressure readings today.
One of the things the Spirit of God told me was about your blood pressure gauge. Is it fake equipment?
Once considered the gold standard for measuring temperature and blood pressure, sphygmomanometers quietly hid a toxic secret. These classic glass instruments, used in hospitals for decades, relied on mercury, a heavy metal known for its high precision but devastating health risks. Even a small spill could release mercury vapors, leading to neurological damage, kidney failure, or respiratory distress in both patients and healthcare workers. Accidental breakages were common, and proper cleanup required hazmat-level precautions. As the dangers of mercury exposure became widely recognized, especially in enclosed clinical environments, international health agencies pushed for their elimination. By the late 20th century, digital and aneroid alternatives took their place.
Experts say it's important to add a blood pressure monitor to your home first aid kit. We found them on Amazon.
Unfortunately, many of the blood pressure monitors that are available on online retailers like Amazon, for example, are not on the VDL list. This basically means that blood pressure monitors have not gone through rigorous testing, so formal studies to prove and show that they are giving accurate blood pressure readings. Basically, what this could have meant for that patient is one, an incorrect hypertension diagnosis. Hypertension is a medical word for high blood pressure. And two, potentially me starting him on antihypertensive medication, so high blood pressure medication, when he probably didn't need it.
Are automatic blood pressure cuffs reliable? The ones at the wrist, the ones at the arm? Well, my name is Dr. Story. I've been a chiropractor for over 23 years. Now, my experience with these blood pressure cuffs has been, they can ballpark it, but they're very often wrong. This study demonstrates that there is inaccuracy in the use of automated blood pressure cuffs, monitors, and traditional manometers when compared with the gold standard mercury column manometer. I looked at the Mayo Clinic, I looked at WebMD, and all of them kind of agree that these blood pressure cuffs can be inaccurate. Now, they're inaccurate in the sense that they're not perfect. They can be slightly higher, and it seems as though, and this is a little conspiracy theory, but it seems as though they all tend to read a little bit higher than a normal blood pressure measurement. And so this leads people to believe that their blood pressure is actually higher than it is. Now, whether it's 5 millimeters of mercury or some, I was looking at some studies where it's up to 20 millimeters of mercury. Now that's a significant difference. So if your blood pressure if your normal blood pressure is, let's say 120 in the systolic, but your home unit measures 140, you're gonna think your blood pressure is totally different.
To show how unreliable and fraudulent this blood pressure gauge can be, here is a clip of it placed on a plastic bottle and still reading like it's on a human arm. Even more troubling is how this equipment leads its users into the dark tunnel of constant ill health.
Using that equipment, most people in the world will not be well. You would need prescriptions. It was manipulated. You'll hardly be well. So if you depend on that thing to tell whether your blood pressure is okay or not, you are sunk. Won't be long before you need drugs. And once it reads that your blood pressure is abnormal, you will panic. And it will become abnormal because now you're panicking and you're in trouble. You need drugs.
The way that we treat blood pressure is a scandal of epic proportions. And the chances are that you or someone you love is in this circumstance where their blood pressure is being way overtreated. It's such a massive scandal, which is fairly universal across hospitals. Doctors and the medical establishment are stuck in a mindset of medicines, good, medicines, good. And there's just a total lack of common sense.
Today, more than 70% of high blood pressure drugs are prescribed by general physicians. And how is this accomplished? Fear marketing.
It's about creating a good story that uses science, that convinces a physician to think about writing a prescription.
This is not science. This is incredibly effective marketing. It has nothing to do with science.
They use what I call statistical contortionism. Basically just skew the numbers, make everything look fantastic. You hide the bad numbers.
They're learning every trick in the book. They're evolving into efficient marketing machines. And it's working.
Everything that we've known about is a lie and a plot. And so what happens is they try to set everybody with something you cannot achieve and then medicate you.
In 1970, the criteria for high blood pressure was 160/90. That's when the doctor started talking to you about your high blood pressure and whether you should take medications. There was another method of knowing if you had high blood pressure, especially as you got older, was the systolic number had to be 100 plus your age. So if you were 70 years old, it was perfectly acceptable to have your blood pressure 170 over something. As long as it was lower than that, everything was A-okay. Then somehow, about 30-ish years ago, when I was in school, the numbers changed to when you were supposed to give someone medication. We were taught in our school that when someone had high blood pressure that was 140/90, that's when you were to send them out to their primary care doctor and have them take medication. Well, then in 2017, something happened. And that is, a study came out that said people's blood pressure should be lower than 120/80. Now, that is a pretty lofty goal. That is very low, such that almost hardly anyone can pass that. When you go into a doctor's office in the middle of the day, you've already had stress. You're already stressed about being there. Maybe you've been waiting in the waiting room too long. You probably had coffee or some type of food prior to that appointment. Then they rush you into the room, usually put the blood pressure cuff off over a number of clothing as you're dangling there, as they're asking questions. There's a whole host of reasons why your blood pressure is going to be above 120/80. If you are above 120/80 now, you're going to get a talking to. You're going to get a little spanking, little slap on the wrist. The doctor's going to talk to you. But if you're above 130/80, now that's the criteria for medication. Is this simply corporate greed from pharmaceutical companies to lower the margins so low that almost no one can pass, and thus every one of us should be on blood pressure medication?
You have to understand that the strategy of the enemy is to destroy with fear and deception. Those are the two things that the Bible shows us about him that he's using in this hour: fear and deception.
Another wind of deception, fomented with this blood pressure, is how its users unknowingly become lifetime customers of exorbitantly priced high blood pressure drugs.
Their drugs don't cure. They make you a lifetime customer. Drugs for maintaining blood pressure is lifetime. You'll never be weaned out of it. It's for your life.
85% of all high blood pressure diagnosis, 85%, are what we call idiopathic, meaning they're of unknown origin. So you go to the doctor and they say, hey, you got high blood pressure. Well, what's wrong? Well, your EKG is normal, your EEG is normal, your heart and lung sounds are normal, your dye contrast study is normal, your cardiac catheterization is normal. We tested your heart every which way we could. There's nothing wrong with your heart. We're still going to medicate your heart anyway. You're going to get beta blocker, calcium channel blocker, diuretic.
So you just become another customer. They're ever expanding their business. You have homes where father, mother, every child in the family, all of them have blood pressure problems. So they're all customers.
Even though we don't know what's wrong, we're still going to give you medication. You're going to be on this for the rest of your life. Well, then why do I have it? Well, because your father had it or your grandmother had it. That's patently false. But if I convince you, if I can get you to buy off on the fact that you have a disease, then I can get you to buy off on the fact that you need a lifetime of medication.
Stunning as it may sound, nearly half of Americans aged 20 and over, or more than 122 million people, have high blood pressure, according to a 2023 report from the American Heart Association. Well, let's unpack that. The American Heart Association. Who pays a lot of the money, sponsors their conventions, their meetings, and all that? Who's doing that? Is it the attendees? I mean, if you pay $500 to go to a conference, is that actually enough money to cover the expense of renting a fancy hotel or whatever? No, it's not. Usually you get big sponsors, and usually the big sponsors are pharmaceutical companies. And the pharmaceutical companies that are going to sponsor a cardiology conference are going to be pharmaceutical companies that have cardiology products, so that they can hopefully get some good press about their products in front of the cardiologists. Because make no mistake about it, the cardiologists lead the way in terms of treating blood pressure, and it trickles down to all the lesser knowns, the internal medicine doctors, the family doctors, the endocrinologists, but the lead is the cardiologist. So if Big Pharma can really recruit the cardiologists into their way of thinking, then they've got something going for them strongly. Here's a little ditty, recent, from Pfizer. This was on one of their pages. It says here, the American Heart Association, the American College of Cardiology, and 9 other professional health organizations updated the blood pressure guidelines based on their review of over 900 studies. Wow, 900 studies, all these fancy organizations. This must be the word of God right alongside the 10 commandments that came down on the mountain, right? Okay, what does this say? Blood pressure categories in the new guidelines are, what is normal blood pressure? It's 120/80. If you're not 120 or over 80 or less, you're not normal. You're elevated. You're either elevated or you have hypertension or whatever. So who's putting this out? Pfizer. This is a big deal. Pfizer gets this kind of information from the cardiology convention that they sponsored, and they grab onto that and they put it out there. And then they get the cardiology associations and the hospital associations to put it out there so that it becomes a thing.
Imagine this shock that hypertension drugs achieved a revenue of $36.7 billion in 2024. That's in 1 year. Blood pressure medications don't treat the root cause, and they inflict grave side effects, resulting in more pills prescribed and negative side effects. And I know this because I've been on this medication, and the side effects were killing me. From rashes that wouldn't go away to being itchy. It was affecting just everything. And so then I had to get medicines for the rash that broke out on me. And the prescription medicine was, I can't even tell you how much. It was so expensive. So Big Pharma makes more profit for each additional medication for the side effects.
This is deception at a global scale.
You've got to stay awake. We have articles that come out in highly regarded journals that say, don't start a person with high blood pressure on just one med. Start them on 2 right away. Really? Really? I don't know. It just seems to me that Big Pharma is having its way with medicine. They pay for the studies. They pay for the cost of getting the studies promulgated. They pay for our conventions. They buy us lunch, dinner, and all that jazz. And I think the way we do is one of the reasons. I think you folks out there with common sense and everyday thinking, I think you get it. I think you understand that without meaning to, doctors have almost become a marketing arm for pharmaceuticals. And then you put the pharmaceutical ads on TV and they hammer at us while we're watching the football game or a Hallmark movie at Christmas. And boy, we think, well, maybe that medicine could help me. Maybe I wouldn't have name block anymore and I could go to a cocktail party and not forget anybody's name. That'd be pretty cool. If you're not going to get in the arena and be your own champion on healthcare or help someone else out like your grandpa or your mom or whatever, I think you might be making a huge mistake. We got to watch this with the medicines.
I do have to ask, where are the doctors who see the damage in the patients to whom they prescribed these terrible toxic drugs? They see the damage, or should see. Where are the public officials who are supposed to look out for the public good, the public's best interest, not the pharmaceutical industry's profit margins? Where is the academy? Where are the professional organizations? We're talking about elite physicians in the most highly civilized Western world. They're all now part of a concerted effort to market the drugs, to increase sales, no matter what.
Doctors will just say, oh, you have hypertension, we need to lower it. I mean, it's so ridiculous. At this stage, that the fact that they still talk like this is, it's beyond ignorance. Like, it's willful ignorance, because there's so much material on what's happening with the blood of why the pressure would go up, right? That for anybody who talks like that, it's like whatever, ancient like thinking. Okay, it's like embarrassing at this point. So that's why you get these poor elders, instead of enjoying their retirement years, as they say, right? They're on all these drugs that dull them down. They can't remember things. They can't think clearly. Then they're a danger to themselves or others. They lose their driver's licenses and off they go to the nursing home, right? To die alone. Like, it's a travesty that we medicate these conditions, which are normal adaptations, and we do not educate, or they do not educate their patients into why, the root causes of why those things are happening. Yeah. The whole idea of like the hypertension being a scary problem that has to be medicated, that whole idea is just Rockefeller medicine bullcrap. So hypertension, it does not need medication, it needs education.
A lot of people who were told the blood pressure is too high, it's too low, they didn't have problems. They were very normal until the drugs came. The drugs they told them to take. It's those drugs that have damaged their systems to make them forever dependent. Those are the things they now need. The effects of the drugs is what they need cure from, not what was said to be the original problem.
The kidneys are the first thing to go. It's really taking the blood pressure medicines that's causing the kidney failure, in addition to probably some, other poisons. And I've worked with a couple of clients to reverse their kidney failure. Even one got off dialysis. And the first thing I did was get off those blood pressure medicines.
Some of the most popular generic blood pressure medications on the market, recalled over and over, 45 times in less than a year. Certain batches of valsartan, losartan, and irbesartan.
I was really shocked.
Last summer, Denise Schreck got a chilling letter from her pharmacy.
The impurity has been classified as a probable human carcinogen.
Her blood pressure medicine, the one she takes daily, was tainted with a chemical linked to cancer.
Formerly used in the production of rocket fuel.
Rocket fuel.
In my medicine.
This is tragic, and it's deeply concerning that people were exposed to this. It shouldn't have happened.
Scott Gottlieb was FDA commissioner when the recalls began and says it is unlikely the contamination would have been found on a routine inspection.
If you didn't know to look for this would have been very hard to detect.
There's such a thing as a human conscience. And one's experience, of course, always comes into play. I'm a child of the Holocaust. And so when I see evil and I see people looking the other way because it's too upsetting or it's don't want to be involved, my instinct is to fight, to be at least one little voice, yes, against a monumental industry.
We have to send a strong message to the inventors of evil things. We have to. We have to send a strong message. If you are using those machines and then you are reading your blood pressure and, going up or going down, don't believe it. Be careful. Don't believe it. Speak in tongues. And God will tell you whether the thing you are eating, you need to be eating it or not. Speak in tongues. He will guide you from within. He said he will lead you into all truth. All truth, not some, all. He will guide you to all truth. So the Holy Spirit came to help you, to save your life.
Beloved friend, I pray that you are prospering in every way and that you continually enjoy good health, just as your soul is prospering. 3 John 2.
Wow. How powerful is that? That's part 1. So watch out for part 2. So we're not fighting an industry. No. We're dealing with spiritual things here. We're dealing with spiritual things. I mean, if there was no problem with the machine, why would I say something about the machine? I wouldn't. Why would I fight the machine? I'm not against machines. We have machines that are giving you this image on the screen. Cameras are machines. You hear me fighting cameras? No. So I believe in technology. I'm very much into technology. Didn't you participate in Healing Streams? That was technology at work. Mm-hmm. But when I see these acts of deception for the purpose of destroying the work of God in human lives, I can't just be quiet because God commanded me to speak. And that's why I'm doing it.